Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest Pawnshop pickups. Well, I was trying to do that Britt Baker, but you get what you get. Anyhow, in this Pawnshop pickups volume, I think it's volume 4. It's 2 weeks after I scored some good stuff with by myself over the earlier, but with Eddie, me and him picked up some good DVDs from the Pawnshop, and I picked up quite a few on his recommendation, and I picked up some that he doesn't know about, and I got some at home actually. So I'm gonna have to show you. This is gonna be like this video is gonna shift radically. You'll see me here in the car that I'm showing off, and then you'll see me go to home and you'll see me show the rest off there. But I'm gonna go ahead and start showing off some of the movies. Plus, I picked up 3 things from Cheap Thrills, which I'm gonna go ahead and throw it into the Pawnshop videos. Anyhow, one of the first movies I picked up, and I told Eddie about this. It is Dark City. Dark City, the director's cut of Dark City on DVD. I've never watched this movie. I've never seen it. I've heard it's a good movie. It's one of the best sci-fi movies. So I decided to get it. Director's cut from the Pawnshop. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now, Eddie was with me when he picked this up. Or me and him was going through this. I mean, this Pawnshop had every kind of movie now. A woman brought in 1,800 movies to this Pawnshop. And he said, I've got to put out what I can. I made what room I could. But he put out a bunch of collector sets. And Eddie pulled out 2 of them. He said, you need to get these for movies. And I pulled this one out because I love vampire and undead movies. And this looks like David Tennant, actually, weirdly. It's the Undead Vampire Collection. Yeah, there's the Undead Vampire Collection. It's got 20 movies. Nosferatu, The Vampire Bat, Vampire's Night Orgy. Oh, yeah. Vampire's Night Orgy, baby. The Werewolf versus the Vampire Women. Okay. I'm intrigued. It's got more than that. It's got a bunch. Count Dracula and his Vampire Bride. And the movies range from the 1950s or 30s all the way up to the 1970s. So it sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool. Now, Eddie recommended this one. This is Midnight Horror. 8 movies. And this one's got Ghoulies 4, which Eddie brought up to me. He said, you need to get that one. And it's got Dollman, which Eddie highly recommended. He said, you need to get Dollman. It's on this set just alone for this $1. And I've got Gingerbread Man 2, The Passion of the Crust. I love the first Gingerbread Man. And it's got the second. So eventually I'll get those movies. Let's move on. I got the 8-movie pack of horror cinema. This one's got Prom Night, Descendant, The Nurse, which Eddie told me was really the best movie on here. He said, you need to get The Nurse. And it's got Shadow Zone, The Undead Express. And, Vampire Wars, Battle for the Universe. That's pretty funny. It says 2210. Van Sant crew dispatched to rescue humans from the vampire attack. Discovers that the vampires are plotting to take it, getting help from a surprising source. Always some guy gonna sell us out to the vampires. Somebody always gonna sell us out. Some traitors, SOB. Anyhow, this is the 8 Midnight Horror Collection, and this one had I've got Killjoy's movies. I've got 3 Killjoy movies on a collection set, but I picked this one up because it's got The Devil's Hand and Neitherworld, which Eddie recommended Neitherworld. He said you need to get that one. And like I said, these collection sets, for $1, altogether I got 40-some movies for $4. So that's not a bad little haul there. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and show the Cheap Thrills movies. And like I said, there's movies at home that I'm gonna show off, and they came from the Pawnshop too. So I've been racking up on the Pawnshop stuff. The Pawnshop has really been kicking, and I've been surprised at what the Pawnshop's had, and games wise and movie wise. But let's go ahead and show the Cheap Thrills stuff off now. And one of the Blu-rays I picked up, and I really love this. I love this cover, and I've never seen this movie, but the guy cut me a hell of a price on it. It's Many People Visit, If You Ever Leave the Madhouse. And I've been looking to upgrade my 80s horror stuff, and Eddie's helped a lot. He's recommended great movies. And I always go to his like I told my friend Frank, I said Eddie knows his horror stuff, and he's been collecting for years on horror movies. I know my comedy and action, so that's our areas of expertise. So I went ahead and picked this one up. I don't know if Eddie's seen it, but hey, this is a nice one. The Madhouse baby. Another Blu-ray I picked up on clearance, and this one I've been wanting to see this one for a while. It's a Ben Affleck directed movie, wrote and directed by him, and it's based on a true story. In the 1980s, 79 or 80, the CIA learned of a hostage crisis going on, and I think it was in Iran or one of those countries. So they had to get the hostages out. So I think they posed as a film crew. He had agents posed as a film crew and go there, and he had Jack Kirby's help, and it's called Argo. And this has Ben Affleck. It has a bunch of good actors in it. It's got John Goodman, Alan Arkin, Bryan Cranston. But this movie in the town really restored Ben Affleck's name as a writer and director. And it's good to see that he's back. He's coming back as Batman. Ben Affleck is a hell of an actor. People sit there and say, oh, they give him hell for some of his movie choices, but everybody makes a bad movie. Everybody does a bad career move. I mean, it happens. And, Gilgy will never be let down, but he's done some great acting and great directing and writing. I mean, the guy can write some good stuff. That proposed Batman movie that he never made, oh my God, man! I've heard of how good that movie could have been. I wish Warner Brothers would make that movie. It sounds like something from. It's really inspired by the Arkham games. You could tell with Deathstroke and Batman having a fight. Come on, Warner Brothers, give us that movie. Come on, convince Affleck to come back and do Batman versus Deathstroke for us. Now, the last thing I picked up at Cheap Thrills, and I've been seeing this show up in my Facebook feed, and I knew I had to pick this up. People have been posting about Airheads with Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and Steve Buscemi. Here's Airheads. Well, I knew that Cheap Thrills had this movie, and I was like, man, I'm hoping he still got it. And he had it with PCU, with a college movie with Jeremy Piven and what's his name? Oh, crap, I keep forgetting. David Spade. I had to sit there and think of Chris Farley's name first. But yeah, David Spade and Jeremy Piven done in PCU. And PCU was a really underrated college movie in the 90s. And me and the guy was talking about this. We would like you to blow us to the Pampers. And it was... Me and him was in there saying that line the whole time in the Cheap Thrills because he likes the movie too. He says, man, that PCU is a good movie. I said, Airheads is good. I bought it for Airheads, but I said, look, two movies that's really decent. Yeah, go ahead. And like I said, Brendan Fraser, this is one of his best. The whole movie's funny. If you've never seen Airheads, it's a rock. I don't want to give it away. They take over a radio station to play their demo, and hilarity ensues. But yeah, this is it. This is the haul. Pawnshop for now, till you see later, and so you stay around for part 2 that'll clip in. But I gotta go do some grocery shopping. So thanks for watching, and let's go ahead and get this. Let's go ahead and get the grocery shopping and get on home. Let's get home. Hey everybody, time for this other part of the haul that you saw in the car. I decided to go on in and do some grocery shopping and get it done. So I'm back at home, and I'm going to show the rest of what I picked up at the pawn shop, and I'm going to show one more thing that I picked up at Cheap Thrills. And this was like a week before, and I love this cover, and I'm a heavy metal fan. And I love heavy metal. The movie from the 80s, and this put me in mind of it. This is called Evils of the Night, and it has a great cover, and it reminds me of heavy metal. It's got about teenage vampires or vampires needing teenage blood. It's pretty cool, and it looks pretty unique. That's the only thing I picked up from Cheap Thrills. The rest is pawn shop stuff. Now, one of the movies that I could have picked up on Black Friday back months ago was this 4-movie set of Lethal Weapon. And he was wanting like $5 or $8 for it, but I'm glad I waited. I decided to go ahead and get this 4-movie set for $1. Now, a lot of people complain about writing on comics or movies and games, and it doesn't really bother me. Because if you want that movie bad enough, if you want that game or that comic, you don't care that somebody wrote their name on a piece of thing. You know, you can handle that. And maybe later you can upgrade it. It's never really bothered me when people wrote on comics or anything like that. To me, it adds like a sense of history. That's just me. And a lot of people get ticked off at it. And that's to each their own, but I've never really been like that. I've always thought of that as like a sense of history. Now, speaking of a movie set, I really debated on getting for even $1 because I'm not really a big fan of this series. Is Transformers the movie by Michael Bay. All 5 films collection. And the Bay films, I watched the first one and I was like, man, this ain't good. And I heard they got worse, or I heard the last 4 got worse, or before Bumblebee relaunched everything. Yeah, they said those movies got worse and worse, even with Mark Wahlberg and I think John Cena was in them, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. I think Mark Wahlberg was. But yeah, I heard this movie series really went off the rails. It had them like back in the times of knights and at the round table. And I remember seeing that trailer, I was like, what the hell? Now, another movie I picked up, and this one is actually the complete set. Like I said, for $1, I'll get all 5 movies and I'll watch them eventually, the Transformers. But this one, I heard, this just completes a set because I've got the National Lampoon's Vacation movies, except for one now. I decided to get the reboot of Vacation with Rusty as the main character. And I'm going to debate on this one. Rusty, I don't know. I've heard that Ed Helms, he tries in this with Christina Applegate. I'll have to see. I know that Chase and D'Angelo show up at the end. That's Clark and Alan. They show up at the end of in the movie. They show up, which is kind of nice, I'll see what's up. Then I picked up this for $1, and I've heard this 70s cop and outlaw type movie was really funny. It was by Shane Black. It's called The Nice Guys. Now, I've heard this was a good movie. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be my first time watching it. We will see. I've heard this is a really good movie, and I decided to pick it up for $1. I saw it in the pawn shop. Why not? Okay, moving on. I picked up this movie I seen in the early 2000s with my friend Mark and Adam. It's called Van Helsing. And Van Helsing was supposed to launch a series with Hugh Jackman, a vampire series. Except it just did not work that way. Van Helsing didn't perform as well because they had a whole media series ready for this. They had like a ride at a theme park, and they had a cartoon series, and they was going to have sequels planned, and the movie just did not perform as well as they thought. And it's kind of sad. The movie's actually really good, and I think they're getting ready to reboot the whole concept with a woman now. Now, this one I didn't realize I had. I found it for $1, and I love documentaries. And this one is actually a really nice one. This is Vietnam, America's Conflict. And this one has the Vietnam War. And I like documentaries about the war. And for $1 and a 4-disc set, this is pretty good. But I think I have this one. I thought I had a World War II set. Mistakes happen. Now, the last movie I picked up is one that ain't been opened for the pawn shop. It was $1. And I was really happy to find it. It's considered the worst B movie of all time. It's considered so bad that it's become a classic for how bad it was. And it is Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's never been opened. I like that. Whoever bought it just brought it into the pawn shop and just left it. Now let's get to the 3 games. Now, at this pawn shop, this guy really cut me some good deals. He gave me a bunch of movies and the games, and he knows I've been in there. Me and Eddie have been in there so many times, and we've bought stuff, and we've bought movies, and he's really friendly that way. He's really a nice guy, and he's like, go ahead and get those games with that. I was like, okay, man, that's good. I told him I'd come back if I had more time and look at some more movies, which I plan to do because, like I said at the start of the video, there's 1,800 movies that lady brought in. He's planning to phase them in more and more, but he says there's so many back there. There's shelves of movies that he can't put out yet. Now, one of the first movie games I picked up, and I saw this a long time ago, it is Walt Disney's Bolt. That adds to the PlayStation 3 collection in the hunt for more games that build this collection that I've spent the last 5 or 6 years on, and I've really taken Major League serious the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, the last 2 years alone, I've spent a lot of time. And there's some games that I'm looking for. You know, I'm still looking. The list is still going, and one of these games is on this list, and I'm very happy that I found it. But this ain't it. This is a nice one right here. This is Moto Gp 1011, and this one's actually going for like 20 or 30 bucks now, from what I see. It's complete. It's got the manual with it. So this is a nice little motorcycle riding game, and it's kind of nice to find that in the store. But the game that I really wanted, the game I knew I was going to get because it was on my list of games to get, and it was a superhero game, and they don't longer have the license, and we'll probably never see it again, is X-Men Destiny from Activision. And this game is considered terrible. I don't know if it's Ride to Hell Retribution terrible, but I've heard this game is pretty bad. And I decided to get it. Like I said, it's a superhero game. It's on my list of 2022 games to get for the system, and I'm eventually going to work it down. I'm eventually going to find them all. But that's it. That's the haul. I want to thank you for watching, and till next time, keep on and have a good one out there, folks. And I'm going to go watch some movies and play some games.